So this video is going to be about Playboi Carti, and I will be exposing all 4 of his characters. One of his characters is Aminé, and then he also has a football player character that I've exposed 4 years ago. And then he also has another rapper character, and then he also has a TikTok character. So I will be exposing all of those characters within this video. So make sure you watch this video all the way to the end. Before I get into the video, I just want to let you guys know that me and Javon Wims have some really good videos on our Patreon. Whenever you don't see me uploading on YouTube, it's because I'm uploading on Patreon. So recently we made a video about how chemtrails are sprayed to mind control you. So I highly recommend you watch this video. We explain the effects of these chemicals, and we also exposed other ways that they're spraying chemtrails, because it's not just through planes anymore. And we also explained how you can avoid this and how to not let it affect you. And then Javon Wims made this really good video about how the Truman Show syndrome is BS. And then there's another video about how the Matrix is draining your energy. And then we have some really good videos about NPCs. This one is called Pod People, the origin of an NPC. So if you don't know what NPCs are, go watch this video. And then Divine made a really good video about how NPCs will never stop targeting you. So go watch that video. And speaking of NPCs, now let's get into the video. So recently Playboi Carti dropped this album called I Am Music, and all of his music is trash. His music is literally made for NPCs because there's no depth to his music. He sounds like a baby in most of his songs, and there's just no meaning in his music. And honestly, anyone that's a fan of celebrities in general, because celebrities were created for NPCs, and they were created to give NPCs an identity. This is why there's so many people that gain an identity from their favorite celebrity and they start to become them. So I want to talk about the name of this album. It's called I Am Music, and when you break down the word music, it means make you sick. So he's basically saying I am making you sick. You know, it's not a coincidence that the word sick is in music, because it makes you sick. And this is why I don't listen to mainstream celebrities' music anymore. The only music I listen to is from real conscious people that make conscious music, and there's not many of them. I only know like one person that does that. So other than that, I don't really listen to music anymore, because celebrities' music is made to make you sick, aka brainwash you and implement ideologies into you, because music is the easiest way to target somebody's subconscious mind. That's why a lot of their music is like lullabies, like Lil Yachty, for example. You know, all of that targets your mind, especially the children. And this is why Playboi Carti sounds like a baby now in his music. You know, he's targeting the children, and he's targeting your subconscious mind. So now let's get into Playboi Carti's other characters. The first one we're going to talk about is Aminé. Playboi Carti is actually based off of Aminé, because Aminé is the older character. So this is why they look exactly alike, you know, especially in this comparison right here. You can see that both of their eyes are the same. They both have these same soulless eyes. The only difference between these two characters is that Playboi Carti has this fake birthmark on his face, and it was clearly placed there to throw you off and make you think that he's a different person. But if you ignore the birthmark, you can really see the similarities. So here's some comparisons of their side profile. They look so much alike, and they're posing the same way in these photos. And they both have this like devious look on their face right here. And then right here, Aminé is dressed a bit different, and he looks so much like Playboi Carti in that photo shoot. Here's another really good comparison of their side profile. Another thing they did to try to throw us off is they gave Aminé this beard, but Playboi Carti doesn't have a beard. And one of the reasons they did this is to give Playboi Carti more of a feminine vibe, because he's a more feminine character, and I'm gonna talk about that later. And they also did that to throw you off again. And it's funny because some people made some edits where they put a beard on Playboi Carti, and he looks identical to Aminé. As you guys can see in these comparisons with Playboi Carti with a beard, he looks exactly like Aminé. Here's another comparison of Playboi Carti with a beard. And then here's another good side-by-side comparison of Aminé and Carti. And they're both posing the same exact way. And notice how Playboi Carti has a Skull and Bones chain, which is predictive programming of him faking his death, or one of his other characters faking their death, or somebody around him is probably going to fake their death. And they admitted this one in plain sight with the 2017 XXL. As you can see on the 2017 XXL cover, Playboi Carti and Aminé are standing right next to each other, and they look exactly alike. The only difference is their hairstyle and the birthmark, and again, Aminé's beard. And they mocked us in plain sight with this. You know, to put them on the same XXL right next to each other is a complete mockery, and they're admitting this to you in plain sight. And they even admitted it with these memes This one says, why does Playboi Carti and Aminé look the same? LOL. It's not funny. They try to always make it a joke so that people won't actually take it serious. And since people were catching on to how much they look alike, they had to do damage control, because around that time in 2017 and 2018, they were spreading a rumor that Playboi Carti and Aminé were cousins, but they're actually not. And I like how this person noticed it. They said, years ago, I was told that Aminé and Carti were cousins. It wasn't until I decided to Google it today that I realized that it was a lie. And that's true. I looked it up, and now they're saying that Aminé and Carti are not related. And they're just saying that Carti is related to rapper Uno the Activist. And what's ironic about this is that he doesn't even look like Uno the Activist at all. So how could you look more like somebody that you're not even related to? This just goes to show that these characters are based off of each other. They're made from the same DNA, or coding I should say, because DNA is just coding. We're in a simulation, and if you do research, DNA comes down to coding. So when celebrities are created, they first create their coding within a supercomputer. So this is why they're able to be in the same room, like in this XXL photo. The reason why they were able to be in the same room is because they're two different characters, but they're created with the same coding, and they mocked you in plain sight with that XXL. If you want more information about how celebrities are created, go check out these two videos on our Patreon. There's more information and so much more proof that we can't show on YouTube due to copyright. So go check out these videos if you still don't understand how celebrities are created. The link to my Patreon is in the description. When you join our Patreon, you get access to 100 videos. We just hit 100 videos on our Patreon. That's 100 videos that are deeper than what we upload on YouTube. Now let's get into the connections with these two characters. So the biggest connection that I found is that both of these characters dropped new music on the same day. As you can see, there's this article talking about the new music that came out, and they said Playboi Carti, Chappelle Roan, and Aminé all dropped at the same time. And so I did more research, and of course it was the same exact day. As you can see, Playboi Carti released I Am Music on Friday, March 14th, and that very same day Aminé released a single called Familiar on March 14th, and this is the first official single from his upcoming studio album, and they said that this will be his first solo album since 2020. And when I read this, it instantly reminded me of another connection to Playboi Carti. So not only did they both release music on the same day of March 14th, 2025, but if you look at the release dates of Aminé's last album, he released this album called Limbo on August 7th, 2020. And then he released the deluxe on December 4th, 2020. And the connection here is that 21 days later, Playboi Carti released his album Whole Lotta Red on December 25th, 2020. So what are the chances that both of their last solo albums were released in 2020, and now both of their next solo albums are released in 2025? Aminé still hasn't released his album yet, but it's coming. So what are the chances that these two characters look exactly alike and they're dropping music at the same time? And the connections don't end there, because not only do they look so much alike, but they even share the same gematria. So Playboi Carti's name is based off of the magazine, which is spelled with a Y. They always recycle everything they do. This is why the characters' images are recycled into new characters. Everything in the Matrix is recycled because they get you with familiarity. And ironically, the song that Aminé released on March 14th is called Familiar, and he released that the same day that Carti released his new album. As you guys can see, Aminé and Playboi have the same gematria of 93 and 30 in the same two ciphers. And then Aminé also matches up with Carti with the numbers 24 and 22. And then their real names also match up in gematria. So Aminé's real name is Adam Amine Daniel. Playboi Carti and Aminé's full name both equal 38 in the same cipher. I can't make this up. And of course, fake death also equals 38 in that same cipher. So again, one of these characters is most likely going to fake their death, or somebody around them. And now let's get into the connections with Playboi Carti's real name. So his real name is Jordan Terrell Carter. So Carti and Aminé's first name have the same gematria. As you can see, Jordan equals 26 and Adam equals 26. And then the last part of Playboi Carti's stage name matches to Aminé's last name. They both equal 23 in the same cipher. And I find it weird that Aminé's last name is Daniel. Normally Daniel is a first name or a middle name, and when they do make it a last name, it's Daniels. But they purposely didn't add the S because they needed this to connect to his other character. This is why celebrities have the weirdest names. Now let's take a look at the connections that Aminé has with Playboi Carti's nicknames. So his nicknames are Sir Cartier, Cash Carti, Young Carti, and King Vamp. I noticed that Aminé matches to all 5 of those nicknames. As you can see, Cash Carti, which is one of his nicknames, matches to Adam Daniel, which is Aminé's first and last name. They both equal 37 and 62 in the same 2 ciphers. And then Adam Aminé matches to another one of Carti's nicknames, which is Young Carti. They both equal 26 in the same cipher, and it also matches to Carti's label called Opium, which also equals 26. And then another one of Carti's nicknames is King Vamp, which is very demonic. He's letting you know that he's a vampire. You know, all celebrities are energy vampires. They thrive off your energy. This is why they need you to listen to their music and worship them. You know, they are harvesting your energy. And Carti is openly admitting this by calling himself King Vamp. So King Vamp matches to Aminé with the number 93. And then Aminé also matches with King Vamp with the number 42. And if you subscribe to our Patreon, then you guys already know about the number 42. We have an entire documentary about the number 42 because they use this number all the time with black celebrities. I mean, look at Kobe. His number was literally 24, which is 42 reversed. And then Chadwick Boseman played the role of Jackie Robinson in the movie 42. So go check out these videos. The link's in the description. Now let's get into the connections with their birthdays. So another one of Playboi Carti's nicknames is Cartier. Cartier equals 18. And Aminé was born on April 18th. And to top it off, even Aminé matches to Playboi Carti's birthday. So Playboi Carti was born on September 13th, and Aminé equals 13 in Gematria. What are the chances of this, you guys? And on top of that, Aminé's first name Adam also equals 13. Why would these characters look exactly alike, have the same Gematria in many different ways, and both be releasing music at the same time, just like how they did in 2020. Here's another really good comparison of Playboi Carti and Aminé, and notice how Aminé is wearing makeup. So here's some photos of that photo shoot where he's wearing makeup, and right here they put a pink, white, and blue filter. And if you guys know about the inverted flag, it's pink, white, and blue. So whenever you see this pink, white, and blue symbolism, they're letting you know that they're inverts, because both of these characters are inverted, just like every other celebrity. And then we see that Aminé has this photo wearing a pink wig. So all of this reminds me of Playboi Carti because Playboi Carti is a very zesty character. As you can see right here, he's performing with his hand on his hip. So this is a huge connection because both of these characters are very inverted. Here he is saying that he's being a thought for Da Vinci, and he's wearing these pink pants, and he's doing one-eye symbolism, and he's covering his private area, which is Masonic symbolism, because they wear an apron that covers that area. And then right here, he's dressed like an invert, and he's painting his nails as well. And here's some more nasty photos where he looks very inverted. And I have more inverted stuff in my other hour-long video of Playboi Carti from 2023, so go check that out if you want to see more. But one thing I forgot to mention in that video is that it's all in plain sight. His name is Playboi with an I, and the definition of boy with an I is a non-straight female who adopts a boyish appearance or manner. And that's exactly what Carti is. He's a non-straight female that is pretending to be a boy. And that's why his name is spelled with an I. They let you know in plain sight. And, you know, I can't say this L word, but you guys can see it on the screen. They're letting you know that these celebrities are inverted. It's always in plain sight. Here's some more times where Playboi Carti has acted very inverted. You know, right here, he clearly looks like a woman. And so many people made memes about this. You know, they edited his clothes to show how feminine he was in that video. And this one is hilarious because this is exactly what he looks like. And keep in mind, these are not real people that make these edits. This is literally made by them to let you know what they are. They need to let you know that they're deceiving you. And every celebrity is deceiving you by being inverted. They love this inverted deception. It's really nasty. And it's in plain sight again with gematria because Carti matches to this H word that I cannot say. They both equal 51 and 24 in the same ciphers. And the last and final connection I noticed with Carti and Aminé is that Aminé has this interview from 2017 and the guy tells him that he needs to try Magnolia's banana pudding. And when I heard that, I instantly thought about Playboi Carti because his biggest song in 2017 was Magnolia. So again, they're admitting the truth in plain sight by mentioning Magnolia in this Aminé interview.
I need you to demand that you get Magnolia's banana pudding.
Facts.
Oh.
Now let's move on to his other character on the world stage, which is Javon Wims, and he's a football player for the NFL. As you guys can see, these two characters are obviously the same. Javon Wims and Aminé are older than Playboi Carti, so what they did was they mixed Javon Wims and Aminé to create Playboi Carti. And obviously there's still an older character that Aminé is based off of, but I'll do more research later to expose his base character. So here's some really good comparisons I made of their side profile, and they look exactly alike in this comparison right here. It's pretty obvious. It's like they didn't even try with this one. And again, the only difference is Playboi Carti's birthmark. You know, they gave him that to try to throw you off because he looks way too similar to his other characters. So they have to do something to try to throw you off. And even when they were younger, they still looked exactly the same. So yeah, this one is just very obvious. I already have 2 other videos on this topic. I'll put a link to those in the description. And Javon Wims admitted the truth in plain sight as always. He had this post on Instagram that is now deleted. Of course, after I showed this in my original video in 2020, he ends up deleting this post from his Instagram. But in this photo that he posted, he's wearing a Playboi shirt and he even tagged Playboi in the photo. So he's letting you know in plain sight that he's Playboi Carti. You know, Playboi Carti even has the Playboi logo tatted on his neck. Then he admitted this again on his Twitter. He posted a photo of himself and he said, "I'm telling my kids this is Playboi Carti." So he's admitting the truth in plain sight as always. They've admitted both of Playboi Carti's characters. As I just showed you with Aminé, they admitted it in the XXL, and then Javon Wims admitted it twice with both of these posts. So yeah, this one is very obvious. Now let's get into the gematria connections with this one. And this one is very shocking. As you can see, Playboi Carti and Javon Wims have the same gematria of 34 in the same cipher. And Javon Wims went to college in Georgia. He went to the University of Georgia. And that's where Playboi Carti is from. As you can see, Carti was born in Atlanta, Georgia. So that's a blatant connection right there. Now let's get into the connections with their real names. So Javon's full name is Javon Lamar Wims. And his middle name, Lamar, reminded me of another connection, which is with Kendrick Lamar. What are the chances that Playboi Carti's other character, Javon Wims' middle name is Lamar, and Playboi Carti has 3 songs with Kendrick Lamar? So that's another interesting connection. But anyways, let's get back into the gematria connections with their full names. So again, Playboi Carti's full name is Jordan Terrell Carter. And what's interesting about both of their names is their first names have the same gematria, their middle names have the same gematria, and their last names also share the same gematria. And like I just showed you, even their stage names have the same gematria. So let's start with their first names. Both of their first names are Javon and Jordan, which again are similar. They both start with a J, and they both share the same gematria of 62 and 20 in the same 2 ciphers. And then their middle names are Terrell and Lamar, and they both match up with the number 90. And then they also match up in another cipher with the number 315, and this one is in the same cipher. And then their last names also match up with the number 26. So it's just crazy how every single part of their name has the same gematria. And the nail in the coffin with this one is that Javon Wims is mostly known for playing for the Chicago Bears, and when he played for them, he wore the number 83, and 83 reversed is 38, and Playboi Carti equals 38. Now let's get into the connections with their birthdays. So Javon Wims' birthday is September 11th, and Playboi Carti's birthday is 2 days later on September 13th. I can't make this up. And then their birth years are only 2 years apart as well. So they're 2 days and 2 years apart. This is insane, man. They're literally putting this one in your face. I don't know why, but they really mocked who Playboi Carti's other characters are. For their birthdays to be 2 days apart like this is insane. And on top of that, Javon Wims' birthday is on September 11th, and we all know about the event, the hoax that took place on that date. We have a good video exposing this on our Patreon. They did predictive programming of this, which shows that it was a scripted hoax, and it was all done to harvest your energy and so that they can do an upgrade in surveillance in America and worldwide. Because ever since this event happened, there's been so much more surveillance in airports and on the streets. It was all an excuse for them to monitor us everywhere we go. But that's another topic for another video. I can only talk about that stuff on Patreon. So anyways, the reason I bring up this 911 connection is because Javon Wims is born on that date, right? So of course, they're gonna connect Playboi Carti to that event. So Javon Wims is born on September 11th, and there's an event on that date. And of course, they made memes about Playboi Carti having a disaster on September 13th, and they're comparing it to the disaster that happened on September 11th. So I hope you're following me with this. If not, just look at the screen and you guys will understand what I'm saying. So there's this meme, and they said 1 year ago today was the narcissist incident with Playboi Carti, and they said never forget the disaster of September 13th, 2021. And ironic, they're putting 21 at the end for the year because the event with September 11th happened in 2001, which is also 21. So this is all connected, and I hope you guys see what I'm getting at here. If not, you will see very soon, because they mocked this even more with this meme. They said, my grandpa told me about the Great Depression. My dad told me about 9. I can't say the actual event. And then they said, I will tell my kids about September 13th. So basically what happened on September 13th was Playboi Carti announced that he was dropping Narcissist, and people thought Narcissist was an album, but it actually was just a clothing line that he dropped. And Narcissist is a whole nother topic in and of itself. I talked about this in my other Playboi Carti video from 2023. And basically, narcissists are people who have no soul. They just steal people's energy and they mimic other people. So of course, Playboi Carti would call this narcissist. All celebrities are narcissists. The definition of narcissist is somebody that only cares about themselves and nobody else. So of course he would name his merch Narcissist, because we live in a narcissistic world and celebrities promote that. So don't be a narcissist. If you're a starseed, a conscious being, then you're not a narcissist. You're actually an empath. And we get attacked and targeted by narcissists, which are also called NPCs. And ironically, they both start with an N. So join our Patreon if you want to know more about that. We have a lot of videos about that topic. And then another meme that they did was this one, and it's a picture of the towers from the event that happened in September. I can't say the word, but you guys can see it on the screen. And they said September 11th if Playboi Carti did it. So again, why are they referencing Playboi Carti with this event? They're doing this because his other character was born on September 11th. So it's all in your face once again, and that's why they do that. And again, these memes are not made by real people. This is made by them so that they can have more mockery of who their other characters are. And Playboi Carti is also mocking how he drains his fans' energy by lying and saying he's going to drop something, but then he never does it. That's how you know he's a huge energy vampire, and this is why he calls himself King Vamp and Narcissist. He's admitting in plain sight what he is. And the nail in the coffin with this is that Javon Wims was born on September 11th, and Carti equals 11 in gematria. And then the same thing vice versa. Playboi Carti was born September 13th, and Javon equals 13 in gematria. It's not a coincidence every time I make a video, both characters that are the same end up having the same gematria. And speaking of Playboi Carti's birthday, there's something I want to expose real quick, because they did damage control to my recent video. My recent video on Playboi Carti was from 2023, and within this video you can see that I showed his birthday, and during that time they used to say that his birthday was September 13th, 1996, as you can see with this screenshot. And as you can see, my video where I showed this screenshot is from March 15th, 2023. But for some reason now they changed his birthday to September 13, 1995. And they're kind of admitting that they changed it, because when you look up what is Playboi Carti's birthday on Wikipedia, it literally says he was born September 13, 1995 or 1996. So they're acting like they don't even know what year he was born. And then even AI is saying this. As you can see, it says that his birthday is September 13, 1995 or 1996. What does that mean? Why would there be an or there? You know, why all of a sudden they don't know what year he was born? And this all happened after my video. And I found proof that this happened after my video because this rap page did a happy birthday post for Playboi Carti on September 13th, 2023, which was right after my video. And as you can see, they said that he was born in 1996. But then the next year, on September 13th, 2024, they're now saying that he was born in 1995. So my video dropped March 15th, 2023. And sometime between that date and September 13th, 2024, they changed his birthday. And this is all damage control to my video, because there was so many connections with his birthday. And then we see that there's even a Reddit of people noticing this, and they said, was Carti born in 1995 or 1996? So nobody knows his birthday now. And this all reminds me of Lil Uzi Vert and how he changed his birthday as well. And it was the same way. He changed his year by 1. The only difference is that with Playboi Carti, they're changing it into him being a year older. But with Uzi, when he changed his birthday, he's a year younger. So as you can see, on September 28th, 2021, Lil Uzi Vert says he's a year younger than he thought after his birth certificate was found. And here's a tweet of him saying this. He said, "Wait, WTF, I'm turning 26. My mom found my birth certificate." So how could you live your entire life thinking you're 1 year older than what you actually are? That doesn't make any logical sense. People even called him out saying, how did you get a driver's license then? Because obviously the state would know what year you're actually born. But nah, this shows that celebrities are fake and that they're infiltrators in our society because they can get away with this stuff. People were even confused about this on Reddit, again, just like how people are confused about Playboi Carti's birthday. And ironically, these two characters are very connected. But anyways, this person said, how come no one talks about Lil Uzi Vert's birthday changing? When he turned 27 last year, they changed his birth year on Google from 1994 to 1995 because he said he's 26, not 27. Ironic they changed his year to 1995, and they did the same thing with Playboi Carti. They changed it from 1996 to 1995. So I don't know why both of these characters are so connected. Both of these characters even came out around the same time, and they were both making music together. And that's what made Playboi Carti really famous in 2017 and 2016. And I like how this person said, what I don't get is why no one thought that stuff was odd. He always been on that demonic stuff, and the 27 Club was rumored and whatnot. But how come he only clarified that his birthday was wrong last year when for years it said 1994? So that is very strange. You know, people should question this stuff. This shows that the internet is fake. They can easily edit anything and change history. And now when you look it up, AI will literally gaslight you and lie and say that he has never changed his birthday. And this is how they change history. So I looked up, when did Lil Uzi change his birthday, right? And AI says Lil Uzi has not changed his birthday, which remains July 31st, 1995. So they're lying. And then AI even says there's no record or evidence to suggest that he has ever changed his birthday. But yet he literally admitted this himself in 2021 that he changed his birthday from 1994 to 1995. And when I was on his Twitter, I noticed something very interesting about his cover photo. As you can see, it says NPC and it has these other words from another language. But I just find it interesting that he literally has a cover photo on Twitter that says NPC. And this goes back to our Patreon videos. You know, they let you know in plain sight that NPCs exist in our reality because we're in a simulation. Just like how a video game has NPCs that are background characters, we're in that same type of situation. Video games are just created based off of our own reality. This is what they showed in The Matrix. So go watch our videos on Patreon about NPCs. You will be very shocked to know that not everybody around you is a real person. 99% of them are NPCs. And if you listen to Playboi Carti's music, then you're also an NPC. Now let's move on to Playboi Carti's younger character. And this character was made based off of Playboi Carti. So the other two characters I showed you were Aminé and Javon Wims, and Playboi Carti was created based off of both of them. You know, they mixed both of them to create Playboi Carti because they're older. But then with this character called YNJ, he's younger than Playboi Carti, so this means they created him based off of Playboi Carti. So this is what they do. They keep creating characters off of characters. So that's why these two characters look exactly alike. Here's some more comparisons of YNJ and Playboi Carti. And ironically, his name is Jay, and Playboi Carti's first name is Jordan, which starts with a J. Here's some more good comparisons of Playboi Carti and YNJ. These two characters look so much alike. And ironically, they also changed YNJ's birthday. So I exposed how YNJ is one of Playboi Carti's characters in my video of Playboi Carti from 2023. And I showed how his name at the time was Jalian Arthur Henry Cantrell. And I even made a joke that his name sounds like alien, you know, Jalian. And you can even find one article that still has his original name from 2023. It says Jalian. And ironically, this article is called YNJ Life Before Death, as if he's gonna die or something. So this could be predictive programming of this character dying. You know, like I said before, one of these characters is gonna fake their death. And now when you look it up, his name is Jalayan, or Jalen, you know, it's no longer Jalian. So this is obviously damage control to my video. And then they also changed his birthday, man. I can't make this up. Why would they change both of these characters' birthdays after my video? So in my video from 2023, as you can see from this screenshot, I showed that his birthday was September 23rd, 1999. And I brought that up because it was a connection to his other character, because Carti was born September 13th. So the connection was that his other character, YNJ, has a birthday 10 days later on the 23rd. So at the time, in 2023, their birthdays were only 10 days apart. But now if you look it up, they changed his birthday to July 23rd. And that's another connection. Both of these characters, Playboi Carti and YNJ, have changed their birthday. Now let's get into the gematria connections. So Jay and Carti have the same gematria of 30 in the same cipher. And then YNJ matches to Carti's nickname, Cartier. They both equal 147. And then YNJ matches to Opium, which is Carti's record label. They both equal 147 and 31. And then their real names also share the same gematria of 61 in the same cipher. YNJ's nickname is Coochie Man, which is another inverted reference. You know, he's saying he's a man with a coochie, and Coochie Man matches to Playboi Carti with the number 46 in the same cipher. Playboi Carti, YNJ, and Javon Wims' first names all start with a J and they all end with a N. All three of these characters have very similar first names. And last but not least, the final connections I noticed, Aminé was born in 1994. And Javon Wims was also born in 1994. And that's a connection to Playboi Carti because he's a mixture of both of those characters. Last thing I want to mention is the satanic and low vibrational things that Playboi Carti does. So Playboi Carti has a Satan neck tattoo and everything they do is scripted. Satan matches to Playboi. They both equal 80 and 35. And this character is known for always doing satanic symbolism. Right here he's wearing horns and he's doing the vow of silence. And then I noticed that Playboi also matches to Baphomet in 3 ciphers. They both equal 80, 35, and 37. And then Carti also matches to Demon in 3 ciphers again with the numbers 51, 24, and 84. And then Playboi Carti also matches to the Devil with the number 131. And when you look up the devil, this red creature pops up, right? And the reason why they depict him as red is because the devil is not actually real. The devil is just an analogy to a low vibrational being. This is why most celebrities only promote the bottom 3 chakras, and they do it in a negative way because the bottom 3 chakras are not bad. You need them balanced, but they only promote those in a negative way. So this is why they wear red so much, and this is why Carti's album is literally called Whole Lotta Red, and on the cover it just says red because it's all a promotion of a low vibration. So whenever you see things referencing demons or Satan, it's all a reference of a low vibrational being because they want us to be low vibrational so that we won't ascend to the higher frequencies and higher vibrations. This is why it's important to stay away from celebrities because all they're gonna do is lower your frequency. This is why he literally has a profile picture looking straight down. He wants to promote the lowest frequency possible, and that's what his music is for. Nowadays, I see teenagers taking photos and they're looking straight down just like this. They're showing that they're all in a low vibrational state. And of course, it's NPCs that do this. You know, real people don't follow trends like this. And then we see that Playboi matches to Satanism and Freemason with the number 96 in the same cipher. And of course, the magazine also promoted this low vibrational state. And now they have this character which is recycling that name, and he's promoting this low vibrational state as well. This is why he had red hair, and he's doing one-eye symbolism along with this hand gesture. Playboi also matches to Masonry with the number 33 in the same cipher. And then Carti also matches to Masonry with the number 84 and 39. So this character has a huge agenda. I mean, Carti even matches to Pass Away with the number 24 in the same cipher. So they're most likely going to fake his death. And then Playboi also matches to Fake Human with the numbers 80 and 35. Playboi also matches to Not a Human with the number 35 in the same cipher again. And this reminded me of his Narcissist merch that he promoted with this demonic person that's clearly not a real human. This is not a real human, and it's very obvious. I don't know how people just brush this away, but this inverted thing is not a real human. And I talked more about that in my other Playboi Carti video. And last thing I want to mention with this is that I find it interesting that Playboi Carti has many photos with these white people. And one thing we've noticed is that every single black celebrity has a white man behind it. This is why they all have photos with a white handler. And I'm gonna make a separate video about that on Patreon. I can't go too deep into that topic right now on YouTube. So join the Patreon, links in the description. He even did this very demonic performance with all these white men. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. The last character I wanted to show in this video is this irrelevant TikToker that just promotes objects. You know, he just sells things on TikTok. And as you can see, he looks exactly like Playboi Carti, and all he does is promote materialism. You know, that's what these TikTokers are created for. They want you to keep being materialistic and just buying random things for no reason. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. In conclusion, Playboi Carti is a character created based off of Aminé. As you guys can see, he looks exactly like Aminé in these photos. And they also mixed him with Javon Wims. This is why he looks identical to both of these characters. Then they made a new character called YNJ, who is based off of Playboi Carti. And that's why these two characters look so much alike as well. And they're both rappers. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Be sure to subscribe to my Patreon. The link's in the description. If you want to join the group chat of a bunch of real people exposing NPCs and all the NPCs we see around us, subscribe to my Patreon. You can also ask me anything you like. You can message me directly on there and I'll answer any of your questions. And we also do phone calls and numerology readings as well. And if you join the higher tier, you get access to all of our ebooks for free. So join the Patreon. We have 100 videos on there of very deep topics that are not allowed on YouTube. The link's in the description. Thank you so much for watching my videos, and I'm out.